net profit by 40%. The free cash flow in 2018 was 3.5 billion euros, and the net financial position resulting from that is at a little more than 9 billion euros. So indeed, the financial situation of the PSA group is quite sound, and I'm very proud of the work that our people have done. I think they have been absolutely outstanding, and I have sent to them my sincere appreciation, my warm congratulations. And as you know, we are always thinking about not only our investors but also our people. And over the last 5 years, the amount of total profit bonus that has been given back to our employees has been multiplied by 4.5 times. 4.5 times over the last 5 years. And actually, when you look at a 5-year time window over the last 5 years, the total amount of money that we have sent back to our employees in profit bonus and compared to the amount of money we have paid to our shareholders in terms of dividends is the same amount. It's reasonably balanced, and I have the intention to keep it that way. So it's a successful story for PSA. I hope it's also a successful story for our people. Everybody is winning from the wealth creation that we are all together generating in the marketplace. That's for PSA. As you know, we are now seeing the full power of the new electrified technologies of PSA coming to the market with the launch of the Peugeot 208, brand new Peugeot 208, including the electric version. You already know that we are launching the DS3 Crossback E-Tense, which is the electric version also in the marketplace. And this year we are launching also the plug-in hybrid petrol versions. And this just means that all the decisions we have made back in 2014 are now coming to the market, which is of course very timely, given the fact that the electrified market is still very small. So we are coming, I think, at the right timing after making that decision at the moment where in 2014, as you remember, the company was still in the process of implementing the Back in the Race plan. So we are far from being as sound as we are today. So we are going to face this period, a very chaotic period between now and 2030, leveraging all of our technological strengths. As the ACEA chairman, the situation that I could describe is a little bit different. You know that on October the 2nd, 2018, the European Parliament voted for a minus 40% CO2 emissions in 2030 against 2021. You know, the recommendation from the ACEA was minus 20. So the fact that the European Parliament ignored the recommendation from the European Automotive Association is a problem. Of course, we didn't make any lobby. We don't consider that lobbying is the right way to go, so we don't lobby. Which also means that some of our leaders in terms of politics are now blind. Because if they don't have any feedback from us, they just have to listen to the answers to the questions they would like to ask us, and they didn't ask any question. So the recommendation was minus 20, the decision was minus 40, no questions from the European Union. They just went on and did what they thought was best. So this is going to be a challenge for the industry. It is obvious that if you don't meet the CO2 objectives, the enormous financial fines that you get can create a significant problem for any car company in Europe, can disrupt the business of any car company in Europe. It's not going to be the case of PSA, but it could be the case of any other company. And therefore, this is, of course, a big risk. And I have to say that many things need to be improved in the way Europe is implementing electrification, starting with a 360-degree approach, not only about the mobility device, because the mobility devices are here, they are on sale. So it's not anymore about cars, it's about clean energy, it's about battery manufacturing footprint, it's about battery recycling footprint, it's about investment in the charging network, it's about the tax revenues, where you put the tax revenues from petrol and diesel for the future. So this 360-degree picture today is not managed in a strategic way, it's not managed in a professional way. And we are very much convinced that a certain number of roadblocks are going to appear, and we would like to help the European Union to solve those roadblocks, but obviously they are not asking for our help and they are not asking for our advice. So we find ourselves a little bit frustrated by the fact that we would like to help. We have brought the electrified car products, but nobody wants to listen. So we'll see what happens next. It's of course, I believe, potentially a chaotic period for the automotive industry. We will continue to look at our customers and at the societies at which we operate to make sure that we bring the best possible solutions. And there is one thing that the current leaders are forgetting, which is fundamental, is affordability. Affordability is at the core of the sustainable mobility. Everything we see today is that clean mobility is going to be more expensive than conventional mobility. It's like biofood, it's more expensive. And what we see also is that the speed at which we are imposed to move to the electrification is bringing all the battery business to Asia. That represents 40% of the added value of our cars. So because the European Union is pushing us so hard in terms of magnitude on the 40%, so fast in terms of the 2020, 2025 and 2030 gates, this is pushing all the European car manufacturers to buy batteries from the Asians, being Japanese, Chinese or Koreans, which means that a lot of the added value of the European automotive industry is now being shifted to Asia as a consequence of what has been voted by the European Parliament. This is of course a concern because there are 13.3 million people working on the automotive industry in Europe. 13.3 is a lot of people. And we would like to prevent that. So far we couldn't, because nobody wants to listen, and that's the situation in which we are. Of course, we have a significant technological power. We know how to engineer cars, we know how to engineer electrified cars. I think this is not anymore the problem. The problem is how are we going to meet those objectives, selling a significant amount of electrified vehicles at the price that the customers can pay, and at the price that the customers are willing to pay, given the fact that they see that they can easily charge their car on the daily life. So a lot of challenges still ahead, and if this electrification process lasts for too long, then the risk that another technology would become mature in the meanwhile is increasing by the day, and if another technology pops up at one point in time, we may stop this electrification process and wasting all the resources that have been so far put in this direction. So that's a question for our leaders, our political leaders. How can they manage this transition in a way that is 360 degree, and how can it be managed in a professional way and not just one, today I will put a camera on a tailpipe and I see it smoking, so I want to do something about electrification. This is a very complex issue. It relates to energy, it relates to tax, it relates to investments in charging network. It doesn't relate anymore to the products because the products are here. But what about everything else? That's still an open question. That's what I want to share with you. Thank you for your attention.
Good. Since we are so many, please be so kind. One question only for each of you. Hopefully we will have the coverage for everybody. So, okay.
Okay. As you know, the new next Opel Corsa will have all the same platform with the new 208. But the production places are so different. Corsa will produce in Spain. As I know, 208 will be in North Africa and Eastern Europe. Why you don't produce everything together?
Well, because the volumes are too high. There is no plant big enough to produce all of those cars, because you know, we are such a significant player in the European market for those products that we need 3 plants. There is not enough capacity, one single plant to do all the volumes.
But about the suppliers, they should send to everywhere this transportation cost, etc.
Sure.
Some problems.
Basically, there are 2 sourcing poles, one sourcing pole in the eastern part of Europe and another one in Iberia and north of Africa. Mm-hmm. Those are the 2 biggest sourcing poles that are going to feed those plants, because, as you know, this segment of the market is highly competitive. And the more we put pressure on the pricing because of electrification, the more we need to ask everybody working in this industry to generate more productivity to compensate for the additional prices of electrified systems like batteries, for instance. So if we want to sell at an affordable price sustainable mobility devices, meaning electric vehicles, the level of productivity that we need to get from all of our partners needs to increase to compensate for that additional cost coming from the batteries. So it's going to be difficult moments, but we need to overcome them.
Mr. Tavares, you pointed a very important moment about the dependence of European car industry of Chinese and Asian producers of battery. Can you give us some idea how European industry will overcome this problem?
Well, there are two things. The first one is the speed at which we need to move because of what has been decided by the European Parliament means that we need to use existing capacities of batteries to supply our products. In the lead time of finding the right chemistry for the cells, the right modules for the standardization, the right manufacturing systems, the investors, the lead time is 4 to 5 years. So within the 4 to 5 years, we'll be facing the 2025 gate, which means that Europe is already late. And by introducing such stringent objectives so soon, in fact, they are pushing us to find a solution immediately, which only exists in Asia. So that's a fantastic engine to move the added value of the European automotive industry towards Asia. And it is directly the consequence of the fact that we have no time. Because if we don't move quickly, then we'll have enormous fines and our companies will be in disarray. That's point number one. The point number two is that we could imagine, and there is a European battery champion project that we wholeheartedly support. We could imagine that that could be part of the answer. But for that to happen, we need to recognize that the business plan of that kind of investment is absolutely red, dark red. Which means that in terms of proper governance, there is no European company today that can decide such a business plan because it's red. So the CEOs cannot decide a business plan which is unprofitable because it's the opposite of the interest of the company they are representing. This is the conclusion that Porsche came up with, as you know well. They said, well, no, this doesn't make sense, we don't do it. If we want to create a European battery champion, we need to make sure that this business plan goes back to the black, which means subsidies, strategic subsidies from the European Union. There is a very narrow, specific case where the European Union can accept strategic subsidies for creating this kind of strategic investment in Europe. France and Germany have taken the initiative on that matter to ask European Union if they would accept that. We support that. We think it's the right thing to do, and I had good discussions with the French and the German authorities. Now what we need to see is Brussels going to support? Because if Brussels does not support, then it's over. Nobody's going to put that kind of money for such a red overall result. If they support, then there is a chance, but we are still, of course, very much late against the Asians, and that creates a big stress for the automotive industry.
Okay, other questions? Piotr?
What is your plan for Opel in Russia?
Well, you know, we stopped selling Opels in Russia not such a long time ago. It was in 2016. So there is, I think, 500,000 customers driving Opels in Russia. It's a very good opportunity to recreate this link. So Michael Loscheler and Yannick Bézard, the head of the Eurasian region, are now preparing a specific plan, a product plan strategy that we can bring to the market, and they have now started to select the most talented dealers to take care of our customers. And the plan has been approved. Now they are in the execution mode, both in terms of what kind of products we bring, where are we going to source those products. Is it going to be in Russia or somewhere else? And how do we select the dealers that we trust will take care of our customers in Russia? We are now in the implementation phase, and I know that they will make a presentation very soon, so we'll let Michael Loschler talk about it when it will be the time.
Alec from Sweden.
Yes, thank you for a very interesting talk. You were talking about some alternative to electrification. Did you have something specific in mind?
Well, we all know that currently the only technology that could be a challenger is fuel cells.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, fuel cells, they raise two kinds of questions. One is the carbon footprint of producing the hydrogen. And the second one is the investment of the charging network, which is still very, very important. I think we still need some breakthroughs for that to happen, but it is not impossible that those breakthroughs will happen. If they happen within 2 or 3 years, then they will be a strong competitor to the electrification mode that we are entering now. Which then also means if we go all electric, then it has to be implemented in a rigorous and professional way. If it is going to face roadblocks that are going to delay the process and make the process very lengthy, then most probably there will be a challenging technology that will come up. And if we had to change course of action at that point in time, then the waste of resources for the European societies would be tremendous. Because all of this is creating a lot of disruption, new investments. We have invested the products. You see that some of the PSA competitors are announcing absolutely staggering numbers of investment for the next years. And if all of this money is put in a pipe, and at a point in time we say, well, stop the pipe because it's not the right solution, go that way, wow, what a waste. So this is why I think we need to address this topic in a very, very professional and rigorous way.
By you, by European Commission?
By those who are imposing on us to go electric, which is the European Union, of course.
Gerhard.
Can you explain the way how Peugeot is entering the US market, time frame wise and model wise, and are you even thinking of building a plant in the US?
Well, the way is quite simple. The key word is scalable. We want to enter in a way which is very frugal, where we are going to source the cars from Europe and from China. So we are not going to build a plant in the US or Canada as long as we don't reach a certain number of sales, because it doesn't make sense if you start by putting an enormous investment on the ground and then you go on the red because your volumes are very slim and the depreciation per unit puts you in the red for a long time. Doesn't make sense because nobody wants to sell cars at a loss. So at the beginning, the sourcing will be made from outside of North America, China and or Europe. This is the reason I announced last week that now we are waiting for the clarification of the tariffs. That is the outcome of the ongoing negotiations between the US administration and Europe from one side and the US administration and China from the other side. That's point number one. So no big upfront investment to avoid to go in the red. Secondly, it is not the time to announce it, but we will come up with a very innovative way of distributing our cars, not conventional at all. And again, that will represent a frugal and creative way of doing things, not conventional at all, which again means that we are not going to put ourselves in the red because we are going to use modern techniques to sell the cars. And we will not, most probably, have to address the full US market because it's too big. So perhaps we need to start from somewhere and try to learn and improve from something which is more limited. And the third point is that we see clearly that our products and the products we are contemplating for the US market have excellent results in the clinic tests, which means even when they are presented with their badge, the appetite for those products is quite high. By the way, Peugeot is seen in the US by potential customers as a kind of premium brand, which is quite positive and quite surprising. And from there, we'll try to improve. We already have a team, a North American dedicated team in Atlanta. And we are going to reinforce this team with local talent, and that will come in the next month as soon as we push the button based on the customer knowledge that currently we don't have.
John from Greece.
Hello.
Hello.
For motorsport, about Opel and Peugeot for the future, what news?
Well, both of them can of course compete in motorsports, both of them. It is important for us that we continue to have motorsports activities which are competitive. I have seen the numbers recently. The way we are doing motorsports is competitive right now against the other marketing tools. And it's competitive because we are not supporting and following the inflation of costs. You have seen through the Citroën racing activities that everybody is telling us you cannot compete for the championship because you want to have 2 cars and not 3. We are fine with that. We have to, period. And if we win, we win. If we don't win, it's okay. We are on the podium on the first 2 races of the WRC championship this year. We were number 1 and number 2, as you know. So we don't want to let ourselves go in a high inflation on budget because it destroys the return of motorsports activities as marketing tools compared to other marketing tools. So the best way to kill motorsports is to let the budgets go, which we don't know because we love motorsports. Therefore, Peugeot, as I say, they can come back with programs. I know they are thinking about it. And the Opel, same thing. They will come back very soon with a proposal, which I'm not going to unveil to you because it's important that Michael Loschler is the guy who is presenting it to you. But they are working on projects and we are very supportive. By the way, we are bringing all the brands under the same PSA Motorsports umbrella, including the Opel Motorsports activities. But of course, they are under the same rules of return to protect our ability to use motorsports as a marketing tool. So it's open for Peugeot, it's open for Opel, up to the teams to come back to us with good plans. So far, we are succeeding quite well with Citroën Racing in WRC and with the DS new brand in Formula E. Even though we should have already won at least 1 race on Formula E, but that's racing.
Dusan from Slovenia.
Yes. When you have these big companies, PSA, and you have to adjust the positioning of the brands, of the models, and so on, how will the e-mobility and the new autonomous services, will it influence this relationship between brands within the PSA?
Yes, for sure. You know, all the free-to-move related activities are already being used by the brands. Let me give you an example. If you want to rent a Peugeot or a Citroën, you can be immediately connected to the free-to-move mobility platform, and we'll make you several proposals of mobility tools. So the free-to-move brand is growing in terms of number of people who are using it daily. The number of services related to free-to-move lease, free-to-move fleet sharing, free-to-move renting, all of this is now progressing. We see it every day, and we have a specific division. And the fact that we have created a specific division for that, with the leader, Mrs. Brigitte Courtois, who is sitting at the executive committee, gives a lot of autonomy and a lot of power to this development. So far it's working. We are growing very fast. Last year we grew by 50%. And the good thing is we are not growing in the red, we are growing in the black. So it's profitable, small profit, but it's profitable. So it's not like a startup where you make a lot of red ink and then one day you hope that somebody is going to buy your business and turn it around. It's moving reasonably fast, 50% growth, and it's black. So we will continue to do that. The car sharing activities are extremely sophisticated because we see that you need a specific profile of cities, specific profile of parkings, specific profile of users to make a car sharing activity profitable. It's a very narrow business model. And if you don't learn how it works, then you can make a headline, but it's not going to be lasting for a very long time. So far that's where we are, but Free2Move is also creating many services. For instance, in B2B sales, the Free2Move fleet sharing software is giving a lot of savings to the companies who are using Free2Move fleet sharing. And when you sell a fleet of cars in B2B to a company, you can say, well, you can buy 500 Citroëns or 500 DS or 500 Peugeots or 500 Opels, but with this service, you will save 10 or 15% on your total cost of ownership because of all the knowledge that we have put in this free-to-move, fleet-sharing software. So nowadays, free-to-move is helping to improve the performance of B2B sales because it generates savings to the fleet manager, and of course they are eager to accept that.
Rob from Netherlands.
We appear to be in a sort of a perfect storm at the moment with China not going well. Brexit is playing a diesel problem and probably also electric, where you're forced into electric. What does this force you to do to find solutions to all this? Because it's, I guess it is upheaval for your whole company.
Yeah, but we like that. We like that.
You like
See, look at what has happened over the last 5 years. 2013, we were minus 2.8% OP margin. 2014, 0.2 positive. 2015, 5%. 2016, 6%. 2017, 7.3%. 2018, 8.4%. So it's like this. So the results, the financial results of the company have improved tremendously because we have great people, basically, and a good strategy, which of course is packaging the past plan. The challenges that you are describing are real challenges, and we don't reject them because we believe they are very selective challenges. They are very selective. Means some competitors will succeed, some others will fail. So any challenging situation that is going to be selective, it's like racing. We like it because there will be winners and losers. If we are in a static environment, the fact that we are not the biggest may be a penalty. If we are in a fast-moving environment, the fact that we are not so big and that we are agile in a selective mode may be a very good asset. So not being the biggest, the fact that we are in a fast-moving environment with a lot of challenges and some critical challenges, as you mentioned, and rightly so. For us, it's exciting. We like it. It's selective, and we'll do whatever it takes to make it good for our company and moving around the obstacles and facing the headwinds. This is exactly where our people like to fight because we are competitors at core. So yes, all of this is true, but it's going to be selective, so we are fine with it. And we'll see. At the end of the day, we'll see who will win and who will lose.